everyone, it is me, Rachel Cross, bringing you Art from the Heart time, where every art creation we make is with a point and a purpose. Today I am bringing you a totally awesome activity, art project. Where's my sample? Right here. This is salt painting. I don't know if any of you have ever done it before. This was actually my first time whenever I tried it out, and I really liked it. It was super duper cool. So I'll go over the process of how to do it, what supplies that I used, and show how easy and fun and simple it is to create a salt painting. So with that, the supplies that I used are watercolor paper, just right here, just regular watercolor paper. You can use cardstock, you can use cardboard, you could even paint the cardboard white or black to start with if you don't want to do the brown, and then start the creation process on top of that, which I kind of have a sample of that today that I painted blue. So this is kind of like an experiment for me today too, because I've never done this process before, so we're going to experience this together, which there's another part of this activity that I really like, that I feel that this is where art meets science, because of the way that the watercolors absorb into the salt, and the water, the colors kind of go through the salt. Super cool process to watch. So with that, we have the watercolor paper, we have salt, any kind of salt, table salt. I'm using Elmer's glue to try it. When I was doing the process, I thought, I wonder what clear glue would look like. I've recently discovered black glue. Oh my gosh, super duper cool. I'm gonna actually try and make some at home myself. I believe that I can use the white glue and just actually pour some black acrylic paint in there. Leaves awesome artwork. So I'm definitely gonna try that. But for now, I'm using the white Elmer's glue. I have a watercolor palette. Now, I did not try this with any other type of paint. When I was creating this process, I thought if I could water down acrylic paint to see if that would work. I have no idea how oil colors would work. I'm not familiar with oil paints, to be honest. But I also do know that food coloring can double as a watercolor. So if you only have food coloring available to you, that will work as well. And then I just have some paint brushes. I got the paint brushes, a cup of water. I just went ahead and grabbed some acrylic paint to show the color that I put on the background of this paper. And I have a bowl for the salt to collect the salt after I'm done. And I definitely have a table covering, not so much to protect it from the paint or anything like that, but the salt. I also recommend doing it in a small baking tray, baking sheet, or some kind of pan that can collect this salt if you need to, because it's definitely going to get salt all over, and we got to shake it off before we can paint it. So we definitely need something to kind of just collect this salt, and that's what I'm going to use the paper for, and then just funnel it right back into the cup. And I actually have some in here from when I did it yesterday at home that I brought with me, so I can just reuse the salt. And so that's what's cool about this too. All of the extra salt that you have, if you want to keep making them, you can just reuse what fell off. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this process. Again, I absolutely love this process. It didn't take, maybe just a few hours for drying time, but we're going to go ahead and do the whole thing wet. So that means as soon as we put down the glue, we're going to salt it, and then we're just going to start putting on our colors right then. And one thing that I did love about this, and you'll see it as I go through, was I loved how the colors started to run through the salt. And the salt is an absorbent, so you can see the watercolor kind of absorb through. They recommend using a dropper for this process, but I don't have one, so I'm just going to be using paintbrushes today. But when I watch samples online of using the dropper, it definitely allows for more water to be dropped onto the salt, which will allow it to absorb more of a distance. So one thing that I was thinking about when I made this, and I was watching it do that, was how in my life, my actions and my attitudes has ran off on people and has absorbed into people, just like the watercolor and the salt is acting today with this project. And how when I have been upset with somebody, or just upset with myself, or upset with some other circumstance in life, someone comes up to me and I pop off and I kind of go off, right? and then I'm gonna probably rub that person the wrong way. And then what's gonna happen, more than likely, is I'm gonna leave that person with a bitter taste in their mouth. And the next person that comes up to that person after I leave, or maybe still around, they may be a little bit rude or short with that person. So now I just spread my attitude from person to person. And believe me, it happens. It happens to all of us. This is just a normal way of human life and interaction with each other. But just as we can spread that type of negative attitude, we can also spread positivity that way. And so that was just my own personal reflection as I was going through this process, and I definitely wanted to share that with you. So let's go ahead and get started on creating. So I'm going to, like I said, last night, I went ahead and just started on the background because I wanted it dry for today. So this is just regular acrylic paint on the watercolor paper. I'm going to take the glue, and I love geometric shapes. I love that sort of design. So I'm going to stick with what I know, and I'm going to just make some awesome, cool geometric shapes on this paper with the glue. And I'm going to fill it up. It's going to be a little bit similar to the one I made yesterday. And because I was thinking, you know what? A series of art, a body of art, they all kind of go together. And I thought, how cool would it be to make several that have a similar design, not the exact same, and then they kind of go together. And then how cool would it be to kind of put a frame on it, probably without the glass because of the salt is raised. It's a raised painting. But it would just be kind of cool, or even mat it, a black mat, if you're familiar with any of these things. It's an actual real simple thing that you could do even like Walmart or Michael's. I don't know, maybe even the dollar store sells just mats. So it's definitely something I'm gonna pursue because I thought, hey, that's kind of cool, you know? This is a cool little design. Okay, so I got the glue on there, right? Okay, I'm going to salt it. I'm gonna actually move this since I'm not using that right now. I'm gonna just go, oh, let me use my extra salt too, because I was just going off about using extra salt. So let me do what I said I was gonna do, right? So there is that salt. And again, I'm just gonna totally cover it. So the salt is actually acting kind of like glitter. You know, when we were small, we would glue and glitter, right? Maybe some of us still glue and glitter. And we're just gonna cover the glue completely with the salt. Once I have that, I'm going to shake it off by just dumping it over. It is so awesome, even just like that, honestly, and I'm loving this background. I'm gonna set that aside for now and just go ahead and dump this salt into the cup so I can get it out of my workspace and just move that aside. And I'm gonna bring this back. I still have a little bit of pieces still kind of floating on there. So now that I have that all ready, I'm gonna go ahead and take my color palette, and I'm gonna go ahead and stick with some bright colors. I really liked how the other one turned out with using the bright colors. I did use an analogous type of setting, which means I'm using colors that will touch each other on the color spectrum, on the color wheel. And that always, it's like almost hard to ever go wrong with using colors that way. And it's a real easy, simple way that's called analogous. If you want to look that up or if you know anything about it, I'm going to go ahead and move that. I'm using quite a bit of water because, again, I need the water to absorb. And so then I'm just going to kind of drop it in, and I love it. I love how it spreads. I just love the whole thing. It's actually, for me, like really satisfying watching this whole process. And so I'm just very lightly, gently touching the paintbrush to the top of the salt and letting the water drop into the salt. And so the more concentrated bright of a color that I want, the less water I'm going to use. But again, with this project, we are wanting the water to drop into the salt. So if you do get like that kind of spot, I had a little bit too much water, so it wasn't as bright as I wanted, you can just go right back over it and just put some more concentrated color just right over it. And it'll dry just like this. It is super duper cool. Oh, and I'm loving this blue background, completely changed it. I was thinking this morning how cool it would be to do even a black background, how bright and vibrant I could get the colors. And I know personally for myself, 90% of the time I'm a positive person, and but not all the time that I am. And I think that's why I'm drawn to bright colors, because of my level of positivity. Even when I'm not positive, the bright colors still cheer me up. That's kind of a universal spoken language of art across the board. The brighter the colors is supposed to be the more cheerier of a feel, right? And so I'm just going to go through and do a little bit more of this just to keep showing you some samples, how simple this is. I absolutely love this. I look forward to doing this in person with students that come to my groups. This is going to be totally fun right here. And I just cannot tell you enough how satisfying it is to watch these colors just get absorbed into the salt. I feel like I need a little bit more water. You can always change your water too if it's kind of disrupting your color palette, if it's starting to change it. That is one thing with watercolors. You do want to keep somewhat of clean water. Since right now I'm just doing this sample, I'm just going to go ahead and go with the water that I have. And as soon as I get done with this, I think we'll call it good. I think that's a good enough sample for today. But again, I'm just loving this whole process right here. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it flat, especially as it dries. So I'm sure you can see that. And I kind of even like some of the white left on there, right? How cool is that, especially with the blue background? So with this, there are almost unlimited possibilities with creating with the salt and the glue and the paint. You can create people, you can create scenes, you can create landscapes, still life, you can do geometric shapes like I love, you can experiment with colors, you could cover the whole entire thing with glue, cover the whole entire thing with salt, and even make tie-dye type representations. So the possibilities are endless with this, lots of room to explore. Again, it's kind of like experimenting. I had no idea how this was going to look like on the blue background. I went ahead and did that live with you just to see what it would look like. Do not be afraid to explore and to see what you come up with. And whatever you do come up with, I would love to see it. Please share it with us at hashtag Operation Stay Connected on Instagram for TUSD. We would love to see your creations, and I would love to see what kind of designs that you come up with. Show me how creative you are. Teach me something that you can show me about your salt and glue and watercolor art paint creation. Until next time, guys, I'll see you then.